Hello everyone, what's up? I hope you already having a great day. Welcome to our YouTube channel. So let's start the topic. Today I will display a post-apocalyptic zombie movie from 2016 dubbed The Gift-Giving Girl. Warning, spoiler ahead, so be careful. As the lights on, Melanie lies in bed on her cell. So she rises and begins getting ready for school. Two tropes enter her room and she greets happily. However, their exclusive concern is tying her up to the wheelchair. They would leave her in the corridor to get her in a queue beside other kids like her. Melanie is positioned beside the others in a classroom arranged according to the numbers. Melanie requests that Miss Justino, the instructor, give them a tale and suggests that she read it. They are a myth. In order to be considered a story, the teacher hesitantly follows through and reads. The legend surrounding Pandarox, Melanie is brought back to her after class, cell in which the two rebellious soldiers decline to wish her a nice night. Later, she receives dinner and the portion is an entire platter of worms. The following day, she nods out while eating. Dr. Caldwell visits her that day. The girl has figured out the doctor's puzzle had provided, so she hands it to her, stating that the issue is one of logic. She requests that she address the issue of Scrodinger's feline. When Melanie is unable to respond to the doctor, writes something about her conduct and relays it to her. Last but not least, the doctor called her a subject, requests Melanie's number and she responds with 13. Later, she picked up by the army and the other kid for school once more. While the wheeling of Melanie passed she noticed that number 13 among the numbers sealed not opened. The same day she arrives in the classroom, the numbered spot is still vacant. The instructor chose to provide them a writing task. That specific class and the kids are concerned about, they would be at a loss for what to say. The only person writing a longer piece is Melanie. In her notebook, thus when the instructor requests that someone read aloud what they wrote, she swiftly lifts her hand and illustrates seeing herself as the hero and rescuer in her writing. The instructor becomes overpowered by the stories and approaches Melanie. Inside the classroom, Parks exploded and cries that interacting with the kids prohibited. He wishes to remind Justino about why is that the case. Thus, he approaches one of the kids and brings his arms while rolling his sleeve near it. The youngster unhooks it and snips him, jaw itching to snatch him. The other kids imitate the same conduct. Following class, Officer Parks enters Melanie's cell, while the others prepare to take removing her constraints. He exits after becoming agitated with the girl. She was confined to the chair. On the same evening, Justina visits Melanie and upon discovering that she has been abandoned in that state, she enters the cubicle and begins removing the constraints. The girl sniffs the instructor's aroma and begins to change like the other kids. Before Melanie entirely changes, she instructs the instructor to leave. Later in the evening, Dr. Caldwell visits to see her one more. As they converse, she requests the girl for Melanie responds to another number with the fourth. It corresponds to her own cell number. The next morning, Sergeant Parks arrives to pick up Melanie. He brings her inside after removing her from the cell of a lift. He pushes her out the building as everyone is injured by gunshots. Soldiers can be seen firing and running toward the military complex's perimeter. Parks transport her to a different area of the complex and bring her to a lab, Dr. Caldwell's waiting area. She queries the girl regarding Scrodinger's cat, but when she fails to receive the response she desires, the cat in the box, she explains, is both living and deceased. Similar to Melanie's second doctor gives her an arm sedative injection, they relocate her, knocking her out instantly to a slab and hold her down. However, she wakes up immediately and Justino flees. Inside to prevent the physician from slicing greetings, Melanie following a couple more encouraging remarks. She encourages the instructor to use her weapon down and gives her a little pepper spraying, rendering her incapable so the troops can take her into custody. She tells her that she is not just destroying Melanie while utilizing her as a source of vaccination. Justino loses his alarm start. Caldwell informed the other physician to lower the shutters. However, a zombie breaks as she does that, mercilessly biting her through the glass. When the zombies cut her, Caldwell kills them. Personal involvement in the procedure, the other physician begins to turn entirely, but she leaves the lab only on schedule. Melanie is left in the laboratory by herself with a zombie, but it does not affect her. Taking a scalpel, the girl releases, removing herself from the limitations. Melody goes outside to discover everything disordered in the complex. Zombies scurrying and about and attacking troops attempting to shoot them down. Abruptly, she witnessed Justino being beaten, raised by the troops. Furious, she brushes at them, assaults and bites them, killing them both in the end before Justino passes unconscious while she waits to find Melanie at her side. Retrieves her and places her inside military vehicle. The undead are totally take control of the complex. As the car is observed driving away, followed by a wounded. Later on, it pauses in the midst of Parks and Kyron are unaware of this. In the rear of the car is Melanie alongside them. As Caldwell, Justino lets the girl go, cries that she is not the one doing that. Choice to make. Melanie is only a short distance away from the car and come to stand still, viewing the outer world clearly for the first time. While the others remain near the car, radioing other outspots to no avail accessible. As the physician instructs them to get her test participant, Caldwell and Parks Kuram inspect the vehicle for supplies, but discover only a mask, no food or no water, used by a surgeon to recover zombies. Decide to head south to the beacon, considering that everyone at the complex is dead. With the exception at zombie kids, Melanie was placed on the gunner's seat of the car, was camouflaged and strapped in. Then travel to river in order to obtain water. When they got there a couple, when zombies discovered them, a gunfight breaks out. Alongside the troops, a soldier sustains a bite wound in the fight. So Park pauses to choose whether he will turn as the procedure begins. He closes the doors of the facility after shooting him. He discovers that Justino has took Melanie inside with them, which causes him to feel extremely anxious. The girl inquired about zombies, and according to Caldwell, they were human, possessing a fungal infection spread by biting. When Parks goes to turn on the car, he understands that it has been busted and that they won't need to walk through London. A faster but riskier way to park, and Kyron examined the area's boundaries, which they would need to cross. They tell the people that it's full with zombies. Others are for whom there is no other option, but must navigate the zombies and locate, once they are inside, supplies and shelter. The group moves between a large number of zombie sleepers, being cautious not to wake them. Park abruptly stops when they arrive at a zombie mother pushes a baby in a dead-end wagon in their direction, and Caldwell approaches her. She stops when she notices the baby moving in the trolley and examines as she yells, only to discover a rat inside. First awaken the zombie mother and then the others. The group escapes and relocates. traversing the streets of zombie-infested city, eventually locating a hospital that has been abandoned and entering the house. Parks discover a doorway leading to different floor and everyone ascends, where Parks will be far safer. Justino and Chiron start talking right away. Patrol while Melanie and Caldwell remain returning. The girl asks as they are left alone. He origins, the physician clarifies that she and other were discovered on a maternity ward, similar to her in a medical facility. They were offspring of mom who contracted the disease when they were still expecting. Consequently, the infection entered their system via the placenta. Caldwell informs her that they were distinct from one another. Zombies. Zombies' ability to act the think nearly as if they were genuine individuals. Later, Justino comes back with Melanie. She found her some new clothes and she apologized her for not finding any food. One evening, Park and Justino discuss. He informs Melanie that the girl adores her. In the meantime, Chiron is protecting the girl, and she also developed a bond with him. The following morning, they observe that more there are zombies assembled in front of the hospital. They are at a loss when Melanie arrives, coming with a concept. Since she won't be attacked by zombies, she persuades them to allow her to go outdoors and figure out how to get zombies to move away from the structure. Caldwell is against the plan, but without a backup plan before she departs, the others conquer. Melanie requests to change into her new attire. She walks by the zombie outdoors without any issues. Abruptly, she spots a cat and pursues it and consumes it uncooked. Later, she enters a home and discovers a teeny dog. When she returns, she realizes it is a concealment for the zombies. Removing everyone from the hospital, Parks puts on the handcuffs and the mask. Back on, and they proceed with the trip through the deserted city. On their way to Bacon, while traveling, they notice an odd object, the fungus that emerges from the bodies of the zombies, what the physician believes will be the future phase of the fungus life cycle. She goes to inform Melanie that, given her situation, that fungus function more as mutualistic partner than similar to others, a parasite. As they move further into the city, they discover a enormous body mass expanding into an enormous fungus. Caldwell believes that the cause of there are no walking zombies in the area. When a sufficient number of them gather, they change into the adult phase to the fungus capable of pollinating a wider region. On their way, if not the interplanet, suddenly they came across a mobile lab. They climb into the car and begin examining the traffic park and testing the engine, first followed by the radio. Without replying, Chiron departs on a supply. Melanie is becoming agitated as she runs. She informs them, as if she is going to turn, that they allowed her to eat as well. She went hunting. She quickly locates her meal and shed tears. Through it, when she finishes her meal, she follows a strange sound that she hears to a bookshop. When she peeks through, she notices a bunch of children using grunts to communicate. Melanie is aware that they are merely like her when one of them shows up out of the blue within and informs the other that he smelled something. He is followed by everyone out back at the mobile laboratory. Caldwell is becoming ill and notifies that she has sepsis. Justino begins about Melanie. Once more, how her brain is needed and backbone to produce the vaccine. Suddenly, much to Justino's chagrin, Melanie comes back and informs them of the kid she observed. Sure, they will go looking for Chiron. He is observed strolling down a roadway and discovering an unopened can one of the surface of the ground, followed by other until he spots a shop and ducks beneath it. The door to enter once inside, he begins to eat and observe. Bhaya, fill the magazines. A young girl emerges behind him. She surprises him by luring him between the store's refers and temporarily there are more kids. When their captain shows up everyone together at a Kaira, in the meantime, Malayan is in charge of parks and to him, Justino, like the other children, she can smell him. Have they reached the store at last? Enter and discover that Chiron as half-eaten, Malayan understand that the kids did not merely set him up for failure. However, they also go outdoors for them, realize that she was correct. The children are waiting for them. Malayan fights and challenges the leader alongside him. When she murders him to demonstrate to the others who believe she is the strongest, able to save Parks, Justino and bring them back to safety. When they get to the lab, they discover when they enter the door is open. Caldwell puts them to sleep using a gas, dragging Melanie over to the slab to carry out her process, but quits due to her excruciating discomfort out of her hand. She takes a moment to run around and correct it. However, as she turns around again, Melanie is already awake and aware. They converse and she attempts to persuade the girl to surrender. In order for her to save everyone, Vaccine Melanie nearly conquers, but poses a final query. She wishes to determine if the physician believes she is still alive or merely imitating human conduct. When Caldwell responds with the former, the girl says, Melanie, why should we die to save you? Leave the doctor in the lab as it runs out. However, she follows her, trailing behind Melanie without a firearm or Caldwell's protection in instantaneous. The undead kids are all around. In the meantime, the girl visits the enormous fungus they previously discovered. She intentionally sets on fire to make them sports active. Regretfully, Parks had also followed her. As he becomes contaminated, Melanie had no intention of that happening. As he begins to turn before he shoots him, he requests that she subsequently turns out to be one of them. Justino awakes in safety of the lab from the spores, being aware of what has transpired with Melanie awaiting her outside the laboratory. In the movie's closing scenes, Justino, Melanie woke me up. It's obvious that some time has gone, so she takes out a whiteboard next her and begins a lesson as the zombie kids are listening to her from the opposite. Melanie is there, side of the lab window, leader now, and everyone goes to mess together. Justino's lessons. Be sure to switch on and subscribe alerts to enable you to view more videos such as this. Thank you for viewing. Stay with us.